Get Esther. Let's go ahead and get Proverbs. Let's get the book of Proverbs. Let's get into it. Get Proverbs chapter 31. Proverbs chapter 31, read verse 10.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 31, verse 10. Who can find a virtuous woman?
It says, who can find a virtuous woman? All right? Because when you read the scriptures, you look at a lot of our foremothers, that were very pivotal in the saving of the nation. These were virtuous women. When you look at the acts in which they did, the mindset that they had, these were examples of virtuous women. All right? Go ahead, read on.
For her price is far above rubies.
It said, for her price is far above rubies. Because we look at a virtue, what's the definition of virtue? Somebody get it. Definition. Excellency. What else? Honorable. I'm going to read it right here. It says, moral excellence, goodness, righteousness. All right? That's what you're dealing with. So who can find that woman that has moral excellence, goodness, and righteousness?
Can I read my definition out?
Go ahead. They got his own personal definition. He said, I got one. Go ahead, all right?
Behavior showing high moral standards.
Ooh, high moral standard. Go ahead. You said that was it?
That was it.
He said left it on a cliffhanger. So that was it. All right, let's go flip over to Esther chapter 1. Woo! Let's get into it. Esther chapter 1. Oh, man. Let's go ahead and read Esther chapter 1. Start at verse 1. And we're going to read verse 3 to 5.
Esther chapter 1, verse 1. Now it came to pass in the days of Ahasuerus, this Ahasuerus, which reigned from India even unto Ethiopia, over 127 provinces, that in those days when the king Ahasuerus sat on the throne of his kingdom, which was in Shushan, in the palace. In the 3rd year of his reign, he made a feast unto all his princes and to his servants, the power of Persia and Media, the nobles and the princes of the province being before him.
So now a situation where King Ahasuerus wants to have this feast. He wants to go ahead and as he's ruling over the Persian and Mede Empire, he's going to go ahead and have this feast. Let's go ahead and read on.
When he showed the riches of his glorious kingdom and the honor of his excellent majesty, many days, even 180 days. And when these days were expired, the king made a feast unto all the people that were present in Shushan, the palace, both unto great and small, 7 days in the court of the garden of the king's palace.
So he wants to have this great feast. He was having a feast 7 days, showing off all his riches, his kingdom, his power, wealth, fame, so on and so forth. Let's go ahead and skip down, read verse 8.
Verse 8.
I'm going to read 8 through 19. Go ahead.
And the drinking was according to the law.
Now the drink was according to the law. Read on, even the law that we would follow. That's why it is mentioning that. Read on.
None did compel, for so the king had appointed to all the officers of his house.
So now none being compelled, meaning none being like forced. You're trying to force somebody to drink, things of that nature, or make them drunk. Go ahead.
That they should do according to every man's pleasure. Also Vashti the queen made a feast for the women.
So now, that's very key, because it said, look, on top of this, king doing his thing, but the queen, it's no different than brother doing something with the brother, throwing something, and then, sisters want to have their thing too, Nothing wrong with that. Vashti want to have her thing with the women, they doing stuff. We can have something, do our own thing. Go ahead.
Also, Vashti the queen made a feast for all the women in the royal house, which belonged to the king Ahasuerus.
So now it may mention that. It says she threw it in the royal house, but notice, she still got a head. That's why I mentioned it. It's still, the king's house. Read on.
On the 7th day, when the heart of the king was merry with wine, he commanded Medhaman, Besta, Hebrona, Bigtha, and Abegatha, Zartha, Carcas, and seven chamberlain that served in the presence of Ahasuerus the king, to bring Vashti the queen before the king with the crown royal, to show the people and the princes her beauty, for she was fair to look on.
So, the king wanted to go ahead and summon, his queen, summon his wife, and show her before the people, But let's see what she did. Read on.
But the queen Vashti refused to come at the king's commandment.
So now, that was a problem. Because already that's disrespect according to what it is that we would go by. Husband calling you, you refuse to come. That's out of order. So now, especially you don't have a reasonable reason as to why and that you're able to give answer for it other than just, I don't want to go. So now, read on.
By his chamberlains. Therefore was the king very wroth, and his anger burned in him.
As he had every right to be. Read on.
Then the king said to the wise men, which knew the times.
So he inquired of wise men that had understanding of the situation. That's really it. Knew the time, and just understanding. Knowing the times isn't just, okay, we just know it's like right now, it's 2021. See, knowing the times. Knowing the time meaning knowing the adequacy of certain things. That wasn't adequate for her to do. She should have sucked that up as a wife and said, all right, I may not want to come, but it wouldn't be wise for me to act like this toward my head in this given situation. It'll embarrass him. But she didn't care about that. She just followed through. So read on.
For so was the king's manner toward all that knew the law and judgment.
Mm-hmm.
And the next unto him was Karshina, Shathar, Admartha, Tarshish, Marcina, and Memucan, the seven princes of Persia and Media, which saw the king's face, and which sat the first in the kingdom.
So these are people that saw the king's face. I mean, these were the king's advisors. They're the ones who always dealt with him and being first over the kingdom, meaning this was his executive council like we have here. These were his primary counselors to instruct him in terms of leadership. All right, because kings didn't, even though they were the king, all kings had an advisory committee of counselors to help guide them in decisions that they made. So read on.
What shall we do unto the queen Vashti according to the law? Because she hath not performed the commandment of the king Ahasuerus by the chamberlains. And Memucan answered before the king and the princes, Vashti the queen hath not done wrong to the king only, but also to all the princes and to all the people that are in all the province of the king Ahasuerus.
So now it's saying, look, it wasn't just the king she wronged, but all the people. Because the example in which she was setting, supposing to be one of the most honorable women, because that's one of the most honorable positions you can have as a woman, being the queen to the king. Read on.
For this deed of the queen shall come abroad unto all women, so that they shall despise their husbands in their eyes. When it shall be reported, the king Ahasuerus commanded Vashti the queen to be brought into before him, but she came not.
So now that was a situation, that's what it would be, that influence, because she position of power, so it's people going to look at that in that example, and it can lead to a lot of falling out. So start calling a lot of many fires for other households and other men dealing with their wives. Read on.
Likewise shall the ladies of Persia and Media say this day unto all the king's princes which have heard of the deed of the queen. Thus shall there arise too much contempt and wrath. If it please the king, let there go a royal commandment from him, and let it be written among the laws of Persia and the Medes, that it be not altered, that Vashti come no more before the king Ahasuerus, and let the king give her royal estate unto another that is better than she.
So now they had it, and that's no different on a bigger level with the Most High does. If someone ain't worthy, ain't moving accordingly, then move them out the way, bring in someone that's better. So it's one of those things where she ain't listening, she ain't doing her part, move her out the way, give her seat of royalty and authority unto someone who is more deserving, and which we'll get into, someone who is more upright, virtuous, and has that particular type of character that's needed to actually glorify that position, all right? Because Vashti failed in that regard when it was actually very, very pivotal that she come through. All right. So now, go ahead from there, flip over to chapter 2. And go ahead from chapter 2, start reading that verse 1 through 4.
Esther chapter 2, verse 1. And after these things, when the wrath of the king Ahasuerus was appeased, he remembered Vashti and what she had done, and what was decreed against her. Then said the king's servant that ministered unto him, let there be fair young virgins sought for the king, and let the kings appoint officers in all the provinces of his kingdom, that they may gather together all the fair young virgins unto Shushan, the palace, to the house of the women, unto the custody of Haggai, the king's chamberlain, keeper of the women, and let their things be for purification be given them. And let the maiden which pleaseth the king be queen instead of Vashti.
So now they're looking at the maiden or the woman who would please the king. She would become queen instead of Vashti. Read on.
And the thing pleased the king, and he said, do. And he did it so.
Read verse 5.
Now in Shushan the palace there was a certain Jew whose name was Mordecai, the son of Jared, the son of Shemiel, the son of Kish, a Benjamite.
Skip down to read verse 7.
And he brought Hadassah, that is Esther.
So this is what we're doing. We're dealing with Hadassah. All right, Esther. Hadassah is another name for Esther. Okay, both of those are her names. Read on.
His uncle's daughter, for she had neither father nor mother, and the maid was fair and beautiful, whom Mordecai, when her father and mother were dead, took for his own daughter.
Right, so taking on and raising it as his own daughter, Read on.
So it came to pass, when the king's commandment and his decree was heard, and when many maidens were gathered together unto Shushan, the palace, to the custody of Haggai, that Esther was brought also unto the king's house, to the custody of Haggai, keeper of the women.
Mm-hmm.
And the maiden pleased him, and she obtained kindness of him.
She did what?
Obtained kindness of him. And he speedily gave her things for purification with such things as belonged to her, and 7 maidens which were meet for the giving of her out of the king's house. And he preferred her and her maids unto the best place of the house of the women.
Now, go ahead, read verse 10.
Verse 10. Esther had not showed her people nor her kindred, for Mordecai charged her that this shall not show it.
So now, situation you have it to where she obtained favor within this particular kingdom. It was a place to where her, cousin was aware that, hey, this is a situation that can be good for you, beneficial, but do not reveal to them that you are an Israelite. Don't reveal to them that you are a Jew, because in this situation, that would not be the wisest thing to do. All right, but go in there and prove yourself through your virtue, through your character, and remember the laws and your dealings. All right, that's what you have to do. Show them through your character, and that was paying off and proving that, hey, there's something about this sister. She's special. Go ahead.
And Mordecai walked every day before the court of the women's house.
He walked how often?
Every day before the court of the women's house.
Because he wanted to make sure she was good, because it's like, hey, it's all heathen over here. I got to make sure she all right, and but I got to check on her, make sure she good. Read on.
To know how Esther did and what should become of her. Now, when every maiden's turn was come to go in to King Ahasuerus, after that she had been 12 months according to the manner of the woman.
Because she had to prove herself, all right? The women had to come in. They had to come in after a certain period of time when they were called. Read on.
For so were the days of their purification accomplished, to wit, 6 months with oil of myrrh, and 6 months with sweet odors, and with other things for the purification of the women. Mm-hmm. Then thus came every maiden unto the king. Whatsoever she desired was given to her, with her out of the house of the women unto the king's house.
Mm-hmm, because all the women that, the king, rather more, is courting, getting to know to see who is it that I'm going to choose in place of Queen Vashti. So now, go ahead and skip down to verse 14.
In the evening she went. In the evening she went, and on the morrow she returned. Verse 13, 14. In the evening she went, and on the morrow she returned unto the second house of the women, to the custody of Shaashgaz, the king's chamberlain, which kept the concubines. She came in unto the king no more, except the king delighted in her, and that she were called by name.
So now that was the main thing, making sure that she was called by name and proving herself through her character, which she was able to do. Read on.
Now when the turn of Esther, the daughter of Abihail, the uncle of Mordecai, who had taken her for his daughter, was come to go in unto the king.
Because that was very important. The only time she can go was when she was summoned. She couldn't just go because I wanted to, or I got a question, or whatever it is. My navel hurt. She can't do that. She had to go ahead and wait until it was properly set up. Go ahead.
She required nothing but what Haggai, the king's chamberlain, the keeper of the women, appointed, and Esther obtained favor in the sight of all
She
them.
obtained what?
Favor in the sight of all them that looked upon her.
Mm-hmm.
So Esther was taken unto the king Ahasuerus into his house, royal in the 10th month, which is the month Tebeth, in the 7th year of his reign. And the king loved Esther above all the women.
He did what?
Loved Esther above all the women,
Mm-hmm.
and she obtained grace and favor in his sight, more than all the virgins, so that he set a royal crown upon her head.
He said the royal crown, read.
He set the royal crown upon her head and made her queen instead of Vashti.
So that's what happens. The Most High is able to allow you to be put into a position to where you can find favor, and that the spirit of those around you can play in your favor. Many of you guys experience that need to be, that your employer, just for some reason, it's like, shoot, you may have not even had the qualification for the job. They didn't even know if you was going to get it. Most High said, I'm going to put the spirit on. They just going to hire you. They just going to like you as a person. Things are important because we forget how much you showing that virtue, you showing that goodliness and that character means in terms of how you deal. One thing that we forget, it's like in this walk, characters go out the window. We forget, when it came down, you read Josephus. Abraham, he was, even in the scripture, you read, Abraham was able to confer with the reason of the Egyptians, which means what? He wasn't just insulting them, on in. He was able to reason with the other nations in terms of where, well, look, why do you do that? Well, that wouldn't make sense because, look at how, this happens. Reasoning, critical thinking, he was able to do that. So those are the skills our people had. Character. How do you think Daniel was able to, rise up within the Babylonian Persian Mede-Empire? Because he had good character. He had wisdom. He wasn't just in there just, F y'all, and I don't want to be part of your government and, whatever it is. So our forefathers and foremothers were always involved within the government of the other nations. But they had righteousness and wisdom going for them that allowed them to excel in those positions. And when you look at it, it was always for a benefit for the nation. There was selfless service in what it is that they were doing. So now, go ahead, keep reading.
Verse 18. Then the king made a great feast unto all his princes and his servants, even Esther's feast. And he made a release to the province and gave gifts according to the state of the king.
So now, we're going to go ahead and let's skip down. So we're going to go ahead and skip down and let's go over to the next chapter. We want to get, just ensure we talked about Haman, so we're going to read that he got mad, that Mordecai wouldn't bow, and so on and so forth, and he wanted to destroy all the Jews, and he wanted to kill them. Let's go ahead and skip to chapter 4, verse 1 through 5.
The book of Esther, chapter 4, verse 1.
So when, court Mordecai found out, Haman was mad, wanted to kill him. Read on.
When Mordecai perceived all that was done, Mordecai rent his clothes and put on sackcloth with ashes, and went out into the midst of the city, and cried with a loud and a bitter cry.
So now, of course, Mordecai's mourning at this point in time. He's crying because, even though he said, I ain't going to bow to this, Edomite, but now the judgment of such was that it was a complete hit out to destroy the Israelites, all because of this man's actions, so that this heathen was so upset that it said, I don't give it, even though he did it, and I'm cursing, it's what does it say? Like, what does it say? In Mulan, dishonor on you, dishonor on your family, your granddaddy. That's what Haman did. He was mad. He was salty. He said, man, F you and all your people, so I don't give a damn. That's how he was feeling. Go ahead, read on.
Verse 2, and came even before the king's gate. For none might enter into the king's gate clothed with sackcloth. Mm-hmm. And in every province, whithersoever the king's commandment and his decree came, there was great mourning among the Jews, and fasting, and weeping, and wailing, and many lay in sackcloth and ashes.
Well, of course, that's like you hearing on the news. That's like you hearing on the news. You just hear on the news. So this report, and this end, we find that these blacks, Latino name, they are such a threat that right now at this point in time, the U.S. government is setting up to go ahead and start to eradicate these people for their danger. They are a danger to the community, and it just seems that now more legislation being passed to make sure that we can go ahead and incarcerate, if not, use lethal force against these people due to the threat that they face toward the nation. Okay, so more information coming forward, but that is going to be rolling out. They're rolling out tanks right now, and they're policing them up. So it seems as if starting, next week they're passing legislation, but coming up on March 5th, we're going to go ahead and start to exterminate these people that are populating these ghettos that are definitely in a place to where that something needs to be done. You hear that on the news, like, God damn, everybody gonna lose their head. They just gonna kill us? They just said that, or they finna just start killing us, because they feel we're a threat. Like, that's what they did. The government said that. The government said, hey, we're gonna kill them. You just hearing that on the news. So how would y'all feel all of a sudden that it's just open war, open season, but the government is coming after you, not just, all right, some rebels, but no, it's a government decree. They're coming to kill you. That just got passed. Government is just blatantly saying they're coming to kill you, to stop you. Read on.
So Esther's maids and her chamberlains came and told it her. Then was the queen exceedingly grieved, and she sent raiment to clothe Mordecai, and to take away his sackcloth from him, but he received it not.
He received it not. Read on.
Then called Esther for Hatak, one of the king's chamberlains, whom he had appointed to attend upon her, and gave him a commandment to Mordecai to know what it was and why it was.
Right. She want to get more understand, like what's going on and why is this happening. Read on.
So Hatak went forth to Mordecai unto the street of the city, which is before the king's gate. And Mordecai told him of all that had happened unto him, and of the sum of the money that Haman had promised to pay to the king's treasuries for the Jews, to destroy them.
Right. He said, like, man, he wanted me to bow. Everyone else was bowing. I said I wasn't going to bow because, he ain't no honor in him, so I'm going to stand on my guns, But he got mad, had a hissy fit, and then decided he was going to kill all of us. So that's just what it is. So, now, shoot, let one of us find out if that was one of our people, like, man, why you just didn't bow? Now you finna get us all killed. So you probably getting hate mail from his people and getting threatened and things of that nature. And, man, you ain't think about the nation. All you had to do was bend it. You can just bend the knee. So, you know how we get, make everything sound worse, Now they want to kill all of us. Don't call me for your birthday. We be mad. Go ahead, read on.
Also, he gave him the copy of the writing of the decree that was given at Shushan to destroy them, to show it unto Esther, and to declare it unto her, and to charge her that she should go in unto the king, to make supplication unto him, and to make request before him for her people.
So now, Mordecai saying, look, you got to try to talk to the king because you're in a position of power. You're right there to be able to talk to him, to try to be able to fix this situation. Read on.
And Hatak came and told Esther the words of Mordecai. Again, Esther spake unto Haman. Again, Esther spake unto Hatak and gave him commandment unto Mordecai. All the king's servants and the people of the king's provinces do know that whosoever, whether man or woman, shall come unto the king into the inner court, who is not called, there is one law of his to put him to death, except such to whom the king shall hold out the golden scepter, that he may live.
So she's understanding that, look, it ain't that easy. The law is that, hey, if you go into the king, you ain't been summoned, and he don't approve, the judgment is death. So read on.
but I have not been called to come in unto the king these 30 days.
So, and she's even saying furthermore to where it's like, well, shoot, the time for me to be appointed to come, I ain't been called in with these past 30 days, so I may not get a time to see him like real soon. Read on.
And they told to Mordecai Esther's words. Then Mordecai commanded to answer Esther, think not with thyself that thou shalt escape into the king's house more than all the Jews.
So he said, look, he said, now at that point in time, he said, look, as your big cousin, when I raised you like my daughter, I'm going to keep it real with you. Don't think because you in the king's house, you in a big estate. You know how our people think. You think you in a good area. You think you safe. So look, don't think that you safe from the destruction coming and what's going to happen to your people and that you just going to escape, idly by and live lottie-dottie, like we want peace with everybody. All right? So read on.
For if thou altogether holdest thy peace at this time, then shall their enlargement and deliverance arise to the Jews from another place. But thou and thy father's house shall be destroyed.
So now he's saying, look, now even on a bigger level, you want to take it even deeper with the Most High. The Most High, it ain't nothing for him to cause deliverance through another means. Next thing you know, Persian being get into it with another nation, that gives us a catalyst to where we free because, Most High caused another nation to mix up and cause some turmoil that made things easier for us to escape, and be able to overthrow that particular kingdom or get out of the situation. But if you hold true to that and you continue to side with the enemy in that case, Most High going to destroy you in your house. So, read on.
And who knoweth whether thou art come to the kingdom for such a time as this?
Now, he even took it to an even deeper level. And he said, look, we understand through the scriptures the Most High ordains things. He puts people in places for reasons. That he's saying, look, you don't even know if this is why the Most High put you there. Knowing this would happen, that he allowed you to be in this situation for salvation to come through you or for you to be the one to fix the problem. So, and that's something you can't just turn a blind eye to, because it's no different than just like with Joseph. Joseph went through hell, dealing with his brothers and everything, but the Most High was with him. Although a bunch of bad stuff was happening to him, think about it, he was getting lied to and saying, he raped this woman, didn't touch her, and incarcerated, and his brother already hated him and abandoned him, and, just going through hell for years. So, it's like 20 years later, now he's in a better position. Most of us, we watching somebody going that, damn, Most High doing a number on you. What sins you committed? Nothing? Come on. Nothing. He ain't do no wrong, but the Most High had a bigger plan. And sometimes Most High put people through hell to where, hey, they're going through hell. It's going to be bad now, but I need them to do something else later. So I need to set this up for later. All right? That's what I'm doing. So same thing Mordecai is saying with us, that, look, Most High's putting you in this position, and we didn't know why you received so much favor, and the Most High allowed you to have so much favor, but don't think that favor was just strictly because of you. A lot of times we let things go to our head. I'm just living up more and more, especially because she, already was an attractive sister. She'd be feeling herself, I'm cute, and they just like me because I'm cute. It's like, nah, Most High allowed you to have more favor in that situation for the deliverance of your nation. All right? Go ahead. Absolutely. Go ahead.
Verse 15. Then Esther bade them return Mordecai this answer. Go, gather together all the Jews that are present.
You see that? She thought about it. She said, you know what? You're probably right. Because, at the same time, she's scared. She's a young girl, and, she's a young girl in a powerful position. So it's like, that's a tough choice. And other women got to think, if you was in that position, what would you do? Because you could die, so it's my life for my people. That's a big thing, big pill to swallow, and they looking at you, and he's like, come on, lovest thou me and your people? If you try to protect yourself, it ain't going to work out good. Most High going to know what you did. Your people going to know what you chose up. You chose up, don't choose up. So read on.
Go, gather together all the Jews that are present in Shushan, and fast ye for me, and neither eat nor drink 3 days, night or day. I also and my maidens will fast likewise.
So now she said, look, all right, we're going to do this. We're going to do it right then. If this for the nation, I'm risking my life for the nation. I need the nation to do this. Tell la-di-da to everybody. Word on the street is fast 3 days, no food, no drink. I'm going to do it too, and then I'll go to the king. I want to make sure we humble ourselves. The Most High hear us, because I'm directly putting my life on the line to hopefully save my people. Can y'all at least do that? All right, read on.
I also and my maidens will fast likewise, and so I will go unto the king, which is not according to the law, and if I perish, I perish.
So now she think like that. So y'all do that, and it is what it. All right. So even though it ain't according to law, but if I die, I die. I tried. So better I go out that way than for me to have cooned out. So I can't coon out. So if I die, I die. Just know it's your fault. You made me do it. So you know how we get. So you gonna send me to my death like that? So you're gonna have to live with this if something happened to me. We be talking. So I'm just saying. You sending me. So nevertheless, let's go ahead and jump down to chapter 5 and go ahead and start verse 1 through 3.
Esther chapter 5, verse 1. Now it came to pass on the 3rd day that Esther put on her royal apparel and stood in the inner court of the king's house.
You see that? She made sure, let me make sure I got my A game on. Let me make sure I put on my royal apparel. I got to make sure I'm looking like a dime. It's top of the line, So cute face, thin waist, and the other line. So go ahead.
Over against the king's house. And the king sat up on his royal throne in the royal house, over against the gate of the house. Mm-hmm. And it was so, when the king saw Esther, the queen.
You said, look, when the king saw Esther, read.
The queen standing in the court, that she obtained favor in his sight.
You see the setup, though? She said, I'm going to stand in the court. I want to just be there where he can see me, where he can notice me. You see that game, recognized game, granddad? You see that? She said, let me just stand. She said, I'm not going to go over there. I'm just going to stand over here. She said, let me get the right pose. She said, maidens, which one look the best? Which one you think going to get him? This one, hold up. This one over here. She said, maybe this one. I'm going to just stand there. Okay, I'm going to stand there like this. I'm going to wait. He coming. Let me know when he coming. Wait around the corner. Let me know when he coming. Wink at me so I know. He coming. We good? She just waiting. Hello, my lord. What pleasure do I have to thee today? Real smooth. So now, nevertheless, read on.
She obtained favor in his sight.
He said, you know what? He said, what we got to do today? Hold my palm, Violet. Well, how may I help you today, my queen? I got time today. Read on.
And the king held out to Esther the golden scepter that was in his hand.
He said, hold on. I got to approve it. My bad. Hold up. He said, I got to approve it. He said, hold on. Wait to speak. Wait. There it is. Go ahead, baby. There it is. Go ahead. Now she was able to speak. Read on.
So Esther drew near and touched the top of the scepter.
She said, I speak. Go ahead.
Then said the king unto her, What wilt thou, Queen Esther? And what is thy request? It shall be even given thee to the half of the kingdom.
You see, he said, what do you want? What is thy request? Man, ask it. I'll give even up to even half the kingdom. Because one of the beautiful things, a lot of times the Most High know what he's doing, because, shoot, you want to save a people or destroy people, use the women. Because the women got the power over the men. Persuade them. That's what it is. It seduce them. He said, look, that's what happens. So now, one of those things, he said, what is thy request? I give you even half the kingdom, whatever you want. Read on.
And Esther answered, If it seem good unto the king, let the king and Haman come this day.
You see the way she presented? Just, well, if it's all right with you, then just let, you and Haman came. She didn't force, she made sure we watch wordplay. Well, if you're okay with it, so make it sound like it's his idea, So if you're okay with it, read on.
Excuse me. And Esther answered, If it seem good unto the king, let the king and Haman come this day unto the banquet that I have prepared for him.
So now, that's the thing. She said, look, I'm going to set it right. let me get him where he eating good. That's what she said. She said, I ain't only gonna be dressed good, smelling good, but let me make sure I give him in a place to where he open, ready, and available. You know, get him relaxed, eating good. Let me get a little wine in you. You know, then I can go ahead and lay it on you. See, just like a woman, huh? You know, just not. That's how you use your gifts for good, sisters. That's how you use it, the right way. All right, the right way. That's the gift the Most High gave you. Go ahead, keep reading.
Then the king said, cause Haman to make haste, that he may do as Esther has said. So the king and Haman came to the banquet that Esther had prepared. And the king said unto Esther, at the banquet of wine.
You see that? The wine had to be there, because what the scripture said, wine and women. Woo! Maketh men of understanding follow it. That's what we want to do. Get some wine and get a woman. Woo! That's it. It's done. It's a wrap. The game is won. Game is won. Read on.
What is thy petition? And it shall be granted thee. And what is thy request? Even to the half of the kingdom it shall be performed.
Look, he reiterating the same thing. Like, man, baby, what you want? You know, even to the half of the kingdom. You tell me. I'll give it to you. You know, even then, that get a lot of men caught up too. You be feeling good and want to do anything your woman say, and then it'd be like, well, hold up. I said anything. You be wanting to take some stuff back. That'd be our downfall too. We be wanting to promise a thing, be feeling good, and mess around and got suckered into something. Well, I was just wondering, you know, I was just trying to get $1,000 going on vacation. What? Wait, what? $1,000? Wait, how much you want? You know, but you said that's what, like, you said you would give it. I didn't know you was gonna ask for all that. You know, how many times that happened in the scripture? You said. Even the time that's how John the Baptist got killed. You know, she said, you know, anything you want, birthday and things of that nature. You know, what do you want? John the Baptist said, ooh, I didn't know you was gonna ask for that. You know, men get sucker punched like, ooh, but I didn't already said. So you right, I gotta follow through. You know, you making all sorts of promises, huh? You get seduced, seduction. There you go. Anyway, read on.
Then answered Esther and said, my petition and my request is, if I have found favor in the sight of the king, and if it please the king to grant my petition and to perform my request, let the king and Haman come to the banquet that I shall prepare for them, and I will do tomorrow as the king has said.
Mm-hmm. You know, that's Israel. You know what? So what's your request? Well, it's already bad when they got to repeat the question. So my request is that I'm gonna say is if we can go ahead and we can meet tomorrow at the banquet. Go ahead.
Then went Haman forth that day joyful and with a glad heart. But when Haman saw Mordecai in the king's gate, that he stood not up nor moved for him, he was full of indignation against Mordecai. Nevertheless, Haman refrained himself, and when he came home, he sent and called for his friends and Zeresh, his wife. Mm-hmm. And Haman told them of the glory of his riches and the thing wherein the king had promoted him, and how he had advanced him above the princes and servants of the king. Haman said, moreover, yea, Esther the queen did let no man come in with the king unto the banquet that she had prepared, but myself, and tomorrow am I invited unto her also with the king. Mm-hmm. Yet all this availeth me nothing, so long as I see Mordecai the Jew sitting at the king's gate. Mm-hmm. Then said Zeresh his wife, and all his friends unto him, let a gallows be made 50 cubits high, and tomorrow speak thou unto the king, that Mordecai may be hanged thereon.
Right, because at first, Haman didn't know Esther was a Jew or Israelite, and especially not related to Mordecai. So he said, you know, all this is good, and I still hate Mordecai. I'm going to hang him, but you know, it was like at first honorable. Well, you know, the queen, she invited me to a banquet that only, you know, it was just me, the king, the queen, and I'm excited to go, you know, but man, I still hated that Mordecai ain't bowing though. I got a problem with him. That's crazy because that's like someone you father and daughter. It's like they hate the father but love the daughter. It's just, man, I can't stand that, bro. Can't stand that brother. But his daughter real sweet, you know, love her. Yeah, she invited me over, things of that nature, and then you find out, that's your daddy? Him? Oh, no. Say, that's the same thing. That's where he at. Go ahead and Skip down, next chapter.
Verse 1.
Yep. Start verse 2 and 3.
Esther
6.
chapter 6, verse 2. And it was found written that Mordecai had told of Bigthana and Teresh, two of the king's chamberlains, the keepers of the door, who sought to lay hand on the king Ahasuerus. And the king said, what honor and dignity hath been done to Mordecai for this?
Right, which we know he had to be, entreated due to the great duty he did in going ahead and overthrowing a plot to kill the king. Go ahead and skip down and read verse 10 through 13.
Verse 10. Then the king said to Haman, make haste, and take the apparel and the horse, as thou hast said, and do even so to Mordecai the Jew, that sitteth at the king's gate. Let nothing fail of all that thou hast spoken. Then took Haman the apparel and the horse, and arrayed Mordecai, and brought him on horseback through the street of the city, and proclaimed before him, thus shall it be done unto the man whom the king delighted to honor. And Mordecai came again to the king's gate, but Haman hasted to his house mourning, and having his head covered.
You see that? He felt so bad parading him around that he cried. He went home crying and mourning that, man, I didn't want to parade him around. I hate that nigga. That's how he felt. Man, and covered his head. He was ashamed. I don't work for him. Now, go ahead, read on, 13.
And Haman told Zeresh, his wife, and all his friends, everything that had befallen him.
See, he had to tell all his friends, wife and friends, you see how they did me? That was embarrassing. He don't even bow to me. Read on.
Then said his wise men and Zeresh, his wife, unto him, if Mordecai be of the seed of the Jews, before whom thou hast begun to fall, thou shalt not prevail against him.
They said, look, but see, they said, if Mordecai be of the seed of the Jews, before whom thou hast begun to fall, thou shalt not prevail against him. Read.
But shall surely fall before him.
See that? They saying, things may not go the way you think. It may not go as good as you think. It could go real south. Read on.
And while they were yet talking with him, came the king's chamberlains, and hasted to bring Haman unto the banquet that Esther had prepared.
Right. So go ahead and we're going to read chapter 7.
Chapter 7, verse 1. So the king and Haman came to banquet with Esther the queen. And the king said again unto Esther on the second day at the banquet of wine, what is thy petition, Queen Esther? And it shall be granted unto thee. And what is thy request? And it shall be performed, even to the half of the kingdom. Then Esther the queen answered and said, if I have found favor in thy sight, O king, and if it please the king, let my life be given me at my petition, and my people at my request.
See the way she said, let my life be given and my people. She didn't put out we the Jews. She didn't open with that. She was wise in how I said it. Just let my life and my people. It's like, okay, who he don't even know. So who your peoples and stuff? Because I want you to agree to it before I give you all the details. You see how women be? I want you to agree to it before I get all the details. Just say yes, so you just say yes. Go ahead.
For we are sold, I and my people, to be destroyed, to be slain, and to perish.
You see, so he hearing this like, dang, for real? Someone trying to destroy you and your people? Oh, heck no. Who trying to, where that coming from? Because he ain't connecting the dots. He ain't getting it. It's no that woman come just, I just want to do something special for you, baby. I just want to, take you out, and can I do that? And just, yeah, I don't mind you taking it. Yeah, just want to do something special. I was wondering if we could take that trip to Hawaii. It'll be something real special for you. Even though you want to go, you putting it on like you trying to do it for him, but you really want to go. It'll be real special for you if we go, and I just want to make sure you're good. So can you give me the money to take you? Let's go ahead. Keep reading.
Man. And if it please the king, okay, let my life be given me at my petition, and my people at my request.
Uh-huh.
All right, okay. Verse 4. He'll do that, huh? For we are sold, I and my people, to be destroyed, to be slain, and to perish. But if we have been sold for bondmen and bondwomen, I held my tongue, although the enemy could not countervail the king's damage.
Mm-hmm.
Then the king Ahasuerus answered and said unto Esther the queen, who is he, and where is he, that durst presume in his heart to do so?
You see him, he hearing all this, like, dang, for real, like, this is all this killed you and your people? No, like, who this be? Where he at? Like, what's going on? We can get him right now. Get the guards. Get them ready. Hey, prepare the military. Prepare them. Yeah, they trying to get the queen people. You know, he said, no, we can't let that fly. Like, that's where he at right now. Nah, we got to do something. Go ahead.
And Esther said, the adversary and enemy is the wicked Haman.
You see that? That's what women did. We know, because it's been somebody that's been talking in here, and that's been, doing stuff and spreading gossip and rumors. Said, nah, for someone been spreading gossip, and it's him right there. That's a woman for you. Yep, that one right there. Yeah, I seen you. Don't try to turn around. Yes, you. Don't try to trying to hide. You know you said that. You put that decree. You said that. You said that. That's just like a woman. Gonna get you right there. Johnny on the spot trying to get you. So you know he froze up like he went from this to. He said, I want to get ghosts. Go ahead, read on.
Then Haman was afraid before the king and the queen.
He said he was afraid. Before he was happy. He was saying to the family, like, man, things gonna get good. But it sounded like, ooh, be careful. We've been hearing them reports. They connected. It may not go well with you. If Mordecai, that seed, like, you're going to have some problems. He said, man, nah, it's good because the king, the queen, the queen, she cool people. She cool people. So he thinking everything good. It's like, oh, but she his people. I didn't know that. Go ahead.
And the king, arising from the banquet of wine in his wrath, went in to the palace garden. And Haman stood up to make request for his life to Esther the queen, for he saw that there was evil determined against him by the king.
He said, hold up. He said, I know he mad. He said, please. He said, please, my Lord, can we talk about this? He said, surely, if I knew it was her people, I would have spared them. I didn't know. She didn't even tell us who she was. That's deceit. That's deceit, my Lord. She was deceitful. Do you not see that? Evil woman. Sorcery. Worse than Vashti. Get rid of her. Get a new queen. He said, no, you trying to destroy her people? Man, that's Esther. That's Esther. Man, if it was someone else, people, I wouldn't care. It could have been Katrina, Melina, but that's Esther. You don't do that. You don't do that, Haman. Go ahead.
Then the king returned out of the palace garden into the place of the banquet of wine. And Haman was fallen upon the bed whereon Esther was.
You see that? He said, look, he said, I ain't mind. He said, I know you're in the bed. That's like me. I'm over at Kyle's, things of that nature. I'm just going to his bed and just Lisa's the bed. I'm just like, Lisa, please. Lisa, please. Please. That's what he was doing. He just in their bedroom, just pleading on their bed. Please. Read on.
Then said the king, will he force the queen also before me in the house?
He like, man, what you doing all up in my bed over my wife? He said, he said, please, help me. Read on.
As the word went out of the king's mouth, they covered Haman's face.
He said, man, what he doing all up on my bed? I'm like, man, get him out of here. Can you imagine that? He just up there. It's like if I had a scarf, man, it just all of a sudden, they just pull him. You ever see, yeah, they just put the sack over his head. He's in the middle of talking to plead. They just put the sack over his head, take him away. He's still pleading. Yeah, execution style. He just please. Just read on.
And Harbonah, one of the chamberlains, said before the king, behold, also the gallows 50 cubits high, which Haman had made for Mordecai, who had spoken good for the king, standeth in the house of Haman. Then the king said, hang him thereon.
See that? He said, look, hang him up there. Hang him. Read on.
So they hanged Haman on the gallows that he had prepared for Mordecai.
Woo, you see that? That's how the Most High works. You get the judgment that was set out because that's the law. That's the law. When you say you was going to do something, Most High said, when you wrong, you lying, you deceive, it said, whatever you thought to do unto them, let that now happen to you. No, that's not fair. Well, you was going to let him take the rap and go to jail 10 years. Now you going to jail 10 years. No, that's righteousness. You didn't have no problem when it was them. Now the shoe's reversed. Now you want judgment. You want righteousness. You want something different. It don't work that way. He said, look, you got Uncle Ruckus in there. I got the rope right here. Go ahead. Read on.
Then was the king's wrath pacified.
See that? He said, then king's wrath was pacified. Go ahead and read chapter 8, 1 through 2.
Esther chapter 8, verse 1. On that day did the king Ahasuerus give the house of Haman, the Jews his enemy, unto Esther
See
the
that?
queen.
Our enemy. We got to see the fall of our enemy, read.
And Mordecai came before the king.
He said, gave any unto Esther the queen. He said, look, baby, you can have your enemy, you know. And guess what? Man, that's what the love of a woman make you do. You know, make you do anything for her. You know, that's where he was at. That's how you use your gifts, when use it for righteousness. That's being that virtuous woman. She was in a place to where she made sure she stuck to her righteousness, her goodness of character, and her moral excellency in terms of where, look, I'm gonna make sure I use every asset I got, you know, the Most High gave me to make sure I save my people, you know. And guess what? She came through magnificently. You know, she pulled it out. Because a lot of our people would have sold out. That's the problem. A lot of our people would have sold out and said, well, I mean, what you want me to do? That's your problem. I can't, don't ask me to do that. You wouldn't do it. That's how a lot of our people in this day and age would be. A lot of our people would not have made that sacrifice. So that's why I said, who can find a virtuous woman? And that's what it is. Our sister Esther was. With that, I'll say shalom.
Shalom.
Let's go ahead and from there, make our announcements. What's going on, Elder? Bosh.
Goodbye. You got any announcements?
Lamb. Deacon Bosh.
Shalom, everybody. Happy day to Perel. Happy feast to Perel. So announcements.